Episode 48, almost halfway to 100. This is unbelievable. I'm Scott Stern with Ben Russo and Matt Urich. Ben is from a very dark location tonight. Where are you, Ben?
It's my bedroom.
Ooh, full relocation.
Yeah.
Playing single dad tonight is what you're playing, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta listen for the kids. So if Ben goes away, we know.
Yeah.
Because is she still doing that thing where she gets mad that she's going to bed and so she poops? Is that still a thing?
No, not
Okay,
anymore,
that's
but
good.
Sometimes it takes her a while to fall asleep.
Yeah,
so
naturally.
make sure she stays asleep.
Okay, and Matt, you're on my porch again, so
Yeah, I'm thinking we're not going to have a whole lot more opportunities for me to sit out here.
I agree. It's going to get cold quickly here.
Maybe another month I probably got. So,
Well, let me segue from cold quickly to the Bears suck. That was not a quality showing in week one there for the second half at least. I mean, I have concerns. The defense is the least of the concerns. Like, the defense looked competent at least and looks like they can do some stuff. Kevin White might be just bad at football. I know some people are going to tell me, like, calm down.
It was his first game.
Yeah, you know who else's first game it was?
It's his first career game.
You know who else's first career game it was?
Leonard Floyd.
Kevin White, yes.
Yes, also Fuller's over there on the Houston side. He looked like he did just fine with Brock freaking Osweiler. Kevin White just doesn't
And
even look.
DeAndre Hopkins and Lamar Miller and an overall better team. So
Yeah, well, Kevin White
and he was going up against who? Jacoby Glenn or whatever.
Can I just note?
they had out there.
Can I just note right now? This is really weird. Ben's the positive one to start off this podcast. I like it.
I'm sorry, like the guy can't even run a damn route. Like that's not
That's
being a
the-
rookie. That's being a bad football player.
I mean, he didn't get to do. I mean, he's literally a rookie, and he ran 3 routes in college.
And missed a little bit of training camp. So this year,
You know what?
as well.
It's great that you're saying all these things, but I expect the guy who was the 8th overall pick, 7th overall pick in the draft. My expectation is he comes in and what did he end up finishing with for the game? Matt, do you know offhand?
3 for 35, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's not enough, and it's not good enough. And I just like when I just don't see it. Like, I don't look at Kevin White and go, man, that guy is
It was one game. How can you look at him and be like, oh, yeah?
Because we're at the start of year 2, like Matt said.
No, it's year 1. He didn't play at all last year. He didn't even participate in training camp.
Yeah, he can't. He couldn't see the field last year because he got hurt, and then he missed some of training camp this year because he got hurt, and then when he took the field, he was bad. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think he's going to be worth a crap, and he didn't look like anything that was worth a damn the entire game on Sunday. And I'm looking across the way, and Will Fuller.
Other than Alshon Jeffrey, who looked good on the Bears offensively.
I didn't think.
I mean, the offensive line was okay with Long and.
Well, the
Sydney,
interior
that was it.
okay. Tackles were bad. I thought Eddie Royal had a pretty good game.
Royal looked all right for what he is.
So here's my take on Kevin White. I'm sort of in the middle. I would say a little disappointed in the way he looked on Sunday, but here's my thing. To me, he still looks like a guy that is thinking too much while he's out there. I mean, his routes at Virginia or West Virginia, were go. That's all he did. He just ran fast down the field because he was so fast. That was the thing that was a bit concerning, was he did not look that fast on Sunday. But I think it's going to take a little time for him to get up to speed, and I know that's not what people are going to want to hear, but I think he's going to be okay. But I think it might take a little bit longer just because he's learning a new system. This is essentially a rookie year for him. Just got to take it as it is. I'm not looking at one game and making my final declarations about his career.
We were all concerned about Kevin White from
Yeah,
from
I
the
agree,
day he
but-
was drafted. So this isn't as much an indictment on Kevin White as it is on Ryan Pace for the pick.
No, I think this is a big over exaggeration on this game. I mean, again, if you want to say he's injury prone, that's fine. I wouldn't. To me, there's a difference between being a bust and being an injury prone player. I don't think you call an injury prone player a bust. And again, he popped up on the injury report with a hamstring. A guy who's built on speed, having a dinged up hamstring, even if it's minor, is going to affect your game. And let's not forget the second half. Hell, even after the first quarter, they couldn't give Cutler any time.
No, I hear you.
I mean, what do you want? If a guy who's supposed to get downfield to catch a pass, your quarterback has all of half a second to throw the ball, what do you want him to do? I mean, Bobby Massey had arguably the worst game we've ever seen from a Bears tackle. And granted, he went against J.J. Watt a majority of the game. But yeah, no, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, I can't remember an offensive lineman looking that bad.
Was
I mean,
there?
I'm sure there's been one.
He was awful.
The game that comes to mind is I think about that Bears Giants game from I want to say 2010.
When Cutler got his bell rung and like he got
Was it 10
6 or 7 sacks? I think it was like 6 or 7 in the first half.
I'm gonna look that up because I swear it was more.
Maybe it was.
I will admit that I'm probably over exaggerating here and reaching a bit. I am also going to say though, I don't care if this is technically his rookie year. I don't care if he wasn't on field for training camp. I expected I expected more. I expected more out of the gate, and he looked slow and not very good. And if his thing is that he can go, I don't know where he's going to actually go. Because 9 first half sacks.
I mean, at the end of the day, the biggest thing they need to do is figure out how to. I mean, we've said it all along, and I mean, I understand Cutler needs to get better, about getting rid of the ball. And I mean, to be frank, it really looked like Cutler ignored Kevin White in the second half. And I don't know if that's because he was just getting the shit kicked out of him or because he lost trust in him after that interception. But I mean, this is going to be a work in progress. And the problem you run into is, I mean, say what you want. I heard people saying they thought Jeremy Langford had a good game. I did not. I thought he looked
average
at best. I think calling him average is, I mean, 3.4 yards per carry. I mean, that you can't, and I know he had at least a couple of decent runs, but I mean, you need better. And I mean, that's partly on the offensive line again. But again, I sent a text to you guys earlier. I said, I mean, at this point, the Bears have to find a way to keep Alshon Jeffrey, even if it's another year of a franchise tag at whatever price that's going to be, $17-18 million or whatever. I mean, you can't have any confidence in Kevin White, whether you think it's because he's a bust or just the injury, to this point. I mean, this is a guy who, again, is on the injury report. This is a hamstring, a guy who's built on speed. Like, you can't be confident going into next season with him being your number one, and then you have to worry about who's your number two, and then are you going to have to spend another early draft pick on a wide receiver? At this point, you need to keep players like Alshon Jeffrey.
If you lose Alshon, you might as well just go ahead and say that this rebuild is set back 3 years, potentially.
I don't know that I'd say 3 years, but yeah, I mean, at least, you're postponing it at least another year or two.
I mean, I think 3 is pretty fair, though. Especially if you don't think Jeremy Langford is the answer if you don't think he's a good player at running back, like if he's just middle of the road and could easily be replaced.
Yeah, no, I think Jeremy Langford's a terrible running back in the system the Bears are trying to run.
Unless you draft insanely well, I mean, it'll take 3 years to get a big-time player, a QB, running back, and wide receiver. And in this NFL, you really need a wide receiver and a tight end or 2 wide receivers to be competent. And they still got to rebuild the whole offensive line. And as we're seeing, based on the free agents that are available, like it's not easy to rebuild a team through free agency at all.
Well, and here's the thing. In terms of like rebuilding their offensive line, They've already thrown a ton of money at Bobby Massey, so he's staying there. Kyle Long, obviously your right guard. Josh Sitton, obviously your left guard. I thought Whitehair was fine at center. I assume he'll get better over time. I mean, I guess you have a decent problem there if you have Whitehair and Grasu eventually fighting for that spot next summer or whatever. Left tackle, bad. Charles Leno's not very good. I think he can hold his own to an extent because he's super athletic, but dude is not strong. He doesn't play fundamentally well. But I was shocked with how bad Bobby Massey played. I knew he wasn't that great in pass protection, but my God, he got worked over hard all game long. Especially Whitney Merciless just beat his ass to the ground all game long. I mean, it was like Massey was just a turnstile throughout the game, and they had to continually bring Kyle Long over to help. And so that put more pressure on Cody Whitehair to play, and then Sitton's picking up extra guys. I mean, it threw the whole alignment of that, the whole. And granted, Houston, one of the best defenses in the league. You can even go as far as to say they're the best defense in the league, especially if Watt's healthy, because Watt, I'm thinking, was probably about 70%, 75% on Sunday. So it's just this team. It's like if you let like you guys are saying, if you let Elshon go. I mean, you're already an average at best offense now. You let Elshon go, and you're without a doubt the worst offense in the league. Because go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but here's what I'll say with Alshon Jeffrey. And I don't know how it works in the NFL. We've kind of seen it. It kind of alternates during the season. The NFL trade deadline is now week 8, or is it week 6? Did they move it to week 6 or to week 8? Whatever it is. 8. Whatever it is, if you're completely out of contention, I think you have to try to move Alshon Jeffrey. If you honestly don't think you have a chance to keep him, which, again, they have the franchise tag. They have to decide if that's something they want to do or not. You have to look to trade him, right?
But next year's the last year they can franchise him, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is your hope would be you'd franchise him, eventually convince him to do a long-term deal, which I'm not sure he would anyway, but I think that's your hope, or you keep him and hope to God that your team's good next year to make him want to stay. But, I mean, think about it. And again, this is extremely early. We're week 1. They have a couple of very winnable games coming up.
I'm glad you bring that up, Ben, because I'm going to make a proclamation here, and I want you guys to tell me if I'm right or wrong. Is this the season on Monday Night Football for the Bears? If they have any hopes of pretending to be a playoff team, I don't think if they win they're a playoff team still. But if they're going to pretend all year that they're going to make the playoffs, they have to win Monday night, right? This is the entire season for that.
I mean, in 0-2
start off
hole
0-2, yeah.
Well, 0-2 hole is terrible regardless, but you can't continue to sit here and think that you're talk playoffs. Anybody can talk playoffs if you can't beat the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night at home, right? This is it for the whole year right here on Monday.
Pretty close. Because you're going to be falling behind Green Bay. I don't have the statistic in front of me, but I think they do it every year on ESPN about the chances of making the playoffs if you start 0-2.
It's 15% or something like that.
Yeah. So obviously, this is a very big game, and the Bears' schedule to start the year is very soft, and this is a very winnable game. Obviously you can't sit here and be it's a must win because there's still 14 games left. You never know what can happen, but this is a very important game for them to win. But I don't.
It sucks though, doesn't it? I'm looking at it. Maybe it's not even just this game, but I'm looking at from now until the following Sunday.
I think this game's big from the standpoint of they went 1-7 at home last year.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Yeah.
You have to win.
That's the thing. John Fox, if he wins Monday, gets his second victory at Soldier Field. That's ridiculous.
You have to win games. If you don't win at home, you don't go to the play. Think about it. They were 5-3 on the road last year. Like usually you go 5-3 on the road, you're at minimum a 10-win team.
When you're a good team, like good teams go 5-3 on the road.
Yeah. So the fact that they went 5-3 on the road and only won 6 games, it's insane to me. And we all talked about how this was going to be a long road and a long process. And, like you said, Scott, when we first started this rant about how the Bears need to rebuild after week 1, the defense looked okay. I mean, they got tired because the offense couldn't stay on the field, but
No.
I mean, they held their own until the end of the game when they were just completely worn down. And
Agreed.
if there's the defensive backs played better than I thought. I mean, technically the game should have been more wide open when Will Fuller dropped literally a wide open touchdown pass.
Yeah.
So, again, it's the defense is getting there. You need to work on the offense. It's what I talked about in prior shows where this just feels like that situation where we're going to get the defense in line and then we're going to have to figure out the offense. And by the time you figure out the offense, the defense is going to need to be worked again.
It takes a lot I think as a Bears fan, I have a new appreciation for what it takes to build a Super Bowl contender in the NFL. Because like you even like go back to like I want to say it was that 01-02 team that went 14-2. But like that offense,
I think they were 13-3.
Yeah, they didn't go
13-3.
14-2.
Yeah, 13-3. Like you look at that team and you go, yep, they ran the ball really, really well. They played solid defense, and that was the recipe. And that doesn't exist anymore, right? You have to play solid defense, and your offense you have to be able to move the ball. I mean, we saw it with Minnesota in the playoffs last year. They lost 10-9 to Seattle, and they had a chance, but.
They missed a 30-yard field goal. They should have won that game, so that's not the best example.
No, but I mean, it's still though but they with a stellar defense in that game against Seattle, they still it was left a chance for them to win that game. Like they had to kick a field.
So is Seattle. I mean, they only scored 10 points.
No, I understand, but that was Seattle's an interesting case from last year. That was such an odd season for them. But those are discussions for another day. The bottom line is my appreciation for what it takes to be an actual contender, and that there's just you're not gonna luck into a 12-win season out of nowhere anymore. At least that's what this NFL feels like to me, right? Like you got to build, you have to build right, and that's where it goes. So, any last thoughts on the Bears week 1 and their upcoming week 2, 3, 4 stretch here? And 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that feels like
they have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
They have a chance, but man, if they lose Monday, it's gonna feel awful. Because
I'll just say this real quick. I don't think it's as doom and gloom as it's been presented to be. I think they did the way people have talked about it.
As I've talked about it, you can say me.
I
know I'm down on them.
I mean, in general too. I don't think it was as terrible as it seemed. I mean, they still had a chance to win that game in the fourth quarter. They held a lead at the end of the first, second, and third quarters. So, we'll see. Like I said, Houston is a very good defense. So I think Philly's about middle of the road. Hard to really get a grasp on them. They played Cleveland. So
the biggest problem is they have a really good defensive line that could tear apart the Bears again. That's what worries me more than anything.
Yeah.
Fletcher Cox is going to mutilate somebody.
And unfortunately, that's a problem that's just not going to go away here anytime soon. All right. Let's take a look around the league from week 1. I think the biggest shock for me in week 1 had to be New England just being New England. New England being New England.
Oh, okay. You cut off for a second. So
sorry. They looked like the New England Patriots of old, and it looks like they're not going to miss much of a beat without Tom Brady here, and they're going to cruise through.
But is that really that big of a surprise? I mean, in all honesty, is it that surprising?
And I mean, let's be real. Like, he probably should have made that kick at the end of the game, and we wouldn't have been talking about
and
this.
And it'd have been like,
talk would have been, oh my God, the Patriots need to get Tom Brady back real fast.
Yeah.
No, you're probably right.
And you gave Bill Belichick an entire offseason to get ready for
Game 1 against the Cardinals without Tom Brady. You're right. I still was.
Don't get me wrong. I'm utterly surprised that they won that game. But
The Bears fan in me would have looked at a situation like that and been like, "Yep, this is going to go off the rails immediately." And the Patriots are like, "On to Arizona, on to Arizona," and now they're like on to week 2, and it's going to be, I don't even know, is it Miami in week 2? Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
We're going to go home. It's on to Miami. We're going to prepare for the Miami Dolphins, good football team, and we're going to get ready for them. And that's it. Like that's what they do.
Yeah, I think that's a surprise. I think.
So that was my big surprise. Ben, what was your big surprise for week 1?
I don't know. I don't think any of the games were. I think Miami holding Seattle as close as it was surprised the hell out of me. I would probably say the least surprising thing was Indianapolis being just a dumpster fire of a team.
An abomination.
That defense is terrible. That offensive line is terrible. They get back in the game and then they immediately just give up points right away. It was just,
yeah.
I mean, they stink. That team is that team's going to be a 500 team forever because they can't figure out the defense. And the problem is, they had all these years with Andrew Luck here where they had all this money to spend on defensive players and talent around them, and this is what they built. Well, now they have a $140 million contract kicking in. They're going to start cutting some players. So,
is it going to look that much different if they cut players?
They're going to have a GM that continues to draft shit players, yeah.
For sure. Matt, what your most surprising takeaway from week 1?
The Jags hanging in with the Packers, man. I mean, Packers didn't really look all that great.
No, it wasn't their sharpest.
Yeah, Rodgers was average, just under 200 yards, a couple touchdowns. Bortles out there slinging it, 320 yards, interception.
Bortles, baby.
That's what he's prone to do. But I don't know. I like we said last week. I was sort of hanging on Jacksonville being like a surprise team. And when you have two really good receivers like Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson, and then you got a tight end like Julius Thomas, it's not that Bortles doesn't have people he could chuck it to. And that defense is solid, like we said, young players. So I was just surprised with the way that they hung in there. And I loved prior to the game, Jalen Ramsey essentially like challenged Aaron Rodgers. And then they asked him about it after the game, and he said, well, he never threw at me. So, which he didn't. I mean, Jalen Ramsey had a nice game. So I guess that's my big takeaway, was just the fact that the Jags sort of hung in, and they might be a little bit better than we thought.
I think my favorite thing, though, is Jeff Fisher and the LA Rams getting
oh, yeah.
Monday Night Football against the Niners. That guy, man, there's
like,
no
who
way
does he have naked pictures of, you know?
There's no way he survives this year if that's what he opened up with.
You know, I think we under bet that one. That was totally a he might be first to get fired.
I mean, the fact that because Jared Goff was inactive, correct?
Yeah, that's inexcusable.
And Case Keenum started that game for the Rams, even though they spent the first overall pick on Jared Goff.
He's the first overall pick since Jamarcus Russell to be inactive week 1. So there you go.
And not only do they have Case Keenum starting games for them, the fact that Sean Mannion is number 2 over Goff. And then I think to make matters even worse.
What's a Sean Mannion?
He actually played pretty well in the preseason. Oregon State guy, I believe. But the thing is, I think what makes it even harder, what probably makes it even harder for Rams fans is seeing how well Carson Wentz played in his first game. That the Eagles are like, you know what? We ship off Sam Bradford and we're going to roll with it. We're going to play him and go from there. And Wentz didn't look great, but he had a nice game. Good game for
He looked pretty good. It was the Browns, but he looked pretty good.
Yeah. So, yeah, that whole thing, that's just And not that Jared Goff can't be a good player, but that's a really bad way to start off your NFL career if you're the number 1 overall pick.
I don't think it's an indictment on Goff as much as it's an indictment on the ineptitude of the Los Angeles Rams.
Well, yeah, just you might as well play him. It doesn't make you're not a playoff team, so play him.
You can't do any worse. You got shut out by the 49ers.
Yep.
I mean, that's terrible. Favorite moment of the week for me, Jack Del Rio going for 2.
Balls of steel.
Loved it. Loved the call.
My favorite was I love his explanation too. Because he was just like, most coaches won't say, we went for it because we knew we couldn't stop them. Because that's what he said. He said we knew we couldn't stop New Orleans. Most coaches would just say, we felt good about where we were. We thought we might as well. I felt confident in my guys that we could close this out right now. Not, we didn't think we could stop them, so we just said, screw it, we're going to go for it.
I love that San Diego'd all over themselves. That was the best. I also love that Dallasing all over itself. I mean, no other team. Like, you throw the out route, and what does the guy do with like 3 seconds left? We're going to cut that back inside. That's what we're going to do. That's the answer here. That was hilarious. Just well done.
Yeah, you got to pick up those yards. Very
important to pick up those yards. All right, so week 1 was fun. Let's quickly top 10. Who do you leave week 1 going? Yep, that's probably the team to beat.
I'm still hanging on New England.
Right, like New England has to be number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
I think New England. The only other thing I would say, and again, it's 1 week, and I wasn't really happy with the finish. I think we may have underestimated Denver's defense again.
Mm-hmm.
They look good.
They absolutely murdered Cam Newton. Like, I think legitimately almost murdered him.
Agreed.
And the refs just continue to not call personal fouls and whatever.
That's awful. That's horrendous. Like, and how there wasn't public discipline. Like, if you're gonna sit here and talk player safety all the time, that was a clear instance where Goodell should have been like, "Yep, that referee crew is not going to be working week 2." Because
it was bad. And again, it got to the point where it was hard because we had bet on Carolina, so it sounds like sour grapes. But I even text or sent some messages to some other people. I was like, look, it's pretty clear that Carolina is not going to win this game. So I was actually rooting for Denver then at that point. But those penalties, that's just inexcusable. Like, you can't let that happen. Like, don't sit here. Like, everybody talks about how the NFL is a league that quarterbacks are protected and babied and coddled, and don't show him that tape because he definitely wasn't coddled or protected at all. It was head hit after head hit after head hit. I mean, and then the fact that there was no concussion protocol, even though he got decked and laid on the ground for like a minute without moving, and magically he's back on the field.
And everybody's like, no, we didn't see anything. Really? You didn't? From my couch, I saw it. From my couch. The funny thing is, when I start looking at my top 10 that I would put on this list, 4 of them were in 2 games. Right? Carolina, Denver, New England, Arizona. Those are 4 top 10 teams. And then from there, Green Bay. What about Houston? Is Houston a top 10 team? Did you feel like that's a thing or anything?
I still don't love.
Go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, I still don't love Osweiler, but I don't know. That defense is just good, and Lamar Miller I don't know if that's a product of the Bears defense or what, but Lamar Miller looking like the guy who everybody thought he was going to be down in Miami. So, yeah, I think they're a pretty decent team. The bad thing is for me with the way I work now, I'm so Bears-centric that it's hard for me to haven't really had a chance to even catch up on some stuff. So I know that makes me sound like a bad guy, not really knowing a whole lot. But what are your guys' thoughts on like Cincinnati and Pittsburgh? I mean, is Pittsburgh still up there? Are they still?
I think so.
I think so. If anything, I think their stock went up because that's a decent Washington team, especially defensively, and they tore them apart. I mean, I do think I don't know who the Skins defensive coordinator is, but to not have Josh Norman basically just following Antonio Brown seemed like a pretty dumb decision to me. But whatever.
And I feel like the Bengals stock is down after playing a tight game against New York like that.
I don't think so. It was in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt picked the Jets as a playoff team, and it was in New York. I think they did what they needed to do and won the game. I wouldn't put them up or down, I guess.
All right, so here's what I'm kind of gathering for our top 10. Carolina, Denver, Green Bay, Cincinnati can stay. That's fine. Seattle.
Yeah, I'll give them
Fine.
a break, but
New England, Arizona, Pittsburgh. We have 2 slots remaining. So I would say for those 2 slots, you're looking at Houston, maybe, and Minnesota. Does that sound? That probably sounds about right.
Kansas City staying
Minnesota's
in or no?
defense looked good. I don't know, man. Having to come back
After
from
that.
21 down at home. That's just
I mean, they did come back from 21 down.
they did. Right. It's
With Alex Smith actually throwing the ball.
yeah.
So
I know it's a team that you don't like, Scott, but Minnesota did exactly what I said they would do.
You did. You were right on.
And they didn't even run the ball.
And they haven't scored. They haven't scored an offensive touchdown in a long time.
Sam Bradford hasn't started yet, though. So
I'm cool with that. Minnesota looks good.
Sean Hill, another win though.
yeah,
Yo, I will say, like, I watched
scheduled to start this week too.
I watched the Bears game on Sunday. I'll tell you what I think I'm going to do. I think the Bears might get relegated to the iPad, and I might go NFL Red Zone on the big TV.
Well,
Well-
this Sunday you could just watch the NFL Red Zone.
That's true. This Sunday I'm good. I do love.
And next
And
Sunday.
next Sunday.
Yes, I got 2 Sundays of Red Zone in my future, which is great. So let's talk week 2 here quickly. Some good matchups here. I mean, Thursday notwithstanding. The Jets at Buffalo, so that should be.
Yeah, but it's Color Rush, so you get green on red, just like they had
No,
last.
they're not doing that. So did you hear about the Color Rush stuff? Well, let's talk Color Rush first.
Okay.
So they brought in doctors to
because of the
analyze
eyes.
with the
Yeah.
color blindness. So I think like the Jets are wearing white. Even though their Color Rush is green, they will withhold that as their Color Rush until next year. And they'll wear white so that you don't have that contrast.
Yeah, you're right.
So-
I just saw that.
So, here's the thing: if you're gonna do the Color Rush, this feels like, and Ben, I mean, you went to business school, so maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels a little marketing 101 here. Create jerseys for every team that are exciting and different from their normal jerseys that'll make me want to go out and buy this new jersey. And I look like at a number of these teams and I go, yeah, like those are nice. Those look a lot like what they have now. Like there doesn't seem to be a lot with it, and it's just like this whole color rush thing. Like the Bears, and this whole color rush thing seems to be rather overblown. And for me, if I'm gonna, as the NFL, if I'm gonna like really amp this thing up, be like, oh yeah, color rush, woo! Like I want to create jerseys to buy that are different than the jerseys they already own. Ben, agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, you're right. It's I don't, as I've stated before, I don't like Thursday night football. So adding this color rush just makes it even worse. I mean, just wear a goddamn jersey. Who cares what? Like, who cares what you're wearing? Like, can't they just do like throwback games? You know, like Bears can wear their Monsters of the Midway, and Green Bay can wear those really ugly ones that have the circle in the middle of them.
Oh, the Acme Packers ones, I love those.
Of course,
You know what? You would. You
I
would
do.
have easily the worst
Oh,
taste.
listen, I should
like-
not be in charge of any uniform design ever in the history
No,
of
because
mankind.
every uniform would be yellow and neon green.
I mean, just
Hideous.
Yeah.
So here's my one take on the color rush. I agree with Scott that if you're gonna do it, like do it. And I've talked before, I'm not a fan of the Bears orange uniforms at all. But if you're gonna pride yourself in something called color rush, wear an orange jersey with orange pants for
Mhm.
one game. I'm sure it's fine. And then Green Bay, go super ugly, go yellow on yellow. I
Or
mean,
green on green.
yeah, or green on green, because the Bears in their Thursday night game in Week 7, Bears Packers, it's Bears with blue tops, blue pants, and the difference will be they're wearing blue socks, and Green Bay is going to wear white tops with white pants and white socks. Like, oh my gosh, crazy! But as far as I know, they're still marketing a blue jersey as a color rush jersey, because the color rush jerseys are going to have, the NFL emblem like near on, like towards the neck. It's going to have a special color rush like NFL patch that is slightly different than the regular patch. It's really
Yeah, I'm not buying that. So
Does anybody else find it odd that they're stressing these color rush games, and a lot of the teams are wearing white jerseys?
Yeah.
Which, your colors. White is the absence of color.
yes.
Black is all colors combined, and white is the absence of color. So your color rush games are going to be made up of 50% teams that have no color in their jerseys.
I will say though, for the white of all the white jerseys that are going to be out there, really big fan of Oakland. I
But
don't
they
know
have
why.
silver pants.
Oh, they're wearing silver pants with it?
I thought that's what the picture looked like.
Oh, well, if that's the case, that's dumb. But and Cincinnati's got a sweet look too. So, oh, geez, and so does New Orleans. Wow, New Orleans are sharp. See, now I'm looking through them now. Yeah, you're right. Those pants do kind of look gray, but I don't. No, I think they're white still. It kind of looks gray in the picture, but regardless.
either way,
you're
like
right.
do it big, and let's call it a day.
Yeah.
Let's look at week 2 real quick. Some good games. Cincy Pittsburgh is always fun. Let's see. And that's it. Yeah. Green Bay at Minnesota.
That'll be a good one.
Decent game.
That's probably about it in terms of good games.
It's Sunday night.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited for Tampa Bay and Arizona, although I think Arizona is going to stop a mud hole in Tampa Bay. But
Yeah, they need to, or could get hairy there in a hurry. Any bets that you guys like here for this week?
I can't remember. I love Denver -6.
Who are they playing again?
Indianapolis.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's about as close to a slam dunk as you can get.
Is that at home or is that in Indy?
Yeah, it's in Denver.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that.
Okay, so
I'm actually. Did you see the Bears? Where are the Bears at now? I know they opened.
-3.5.
That is
Yeah.
nuts.
So they what?
Yeah, because I got them at -3 here. They open at 1.5.
No, they opened at -3.
Yeah,
Well,
Um,
what I had yesterday and what I was reporting on was -1.5.
The same website we used last week had them at -3 to open.
Huh.
And then I also like Jacksonville +3 at San Diego.
you're reading my mind. I love that. I think that's a great bet. What about the Seahawks -7?
I'm not with Russell Wilson's ankle. I know the Rams stink.
Are they a touchdown worth of stink without Russell? It's a good question.
People are betting Cleveland because Cleveland was at +7.5. Now they're at +6.5.
Yeah, that's still they're still a stay away from me.
I kind of like Tennessee +6 at Detroit.
I'll be honest with you. I think we're going to keep it pretty low key this week. With
I'm trying to look at the over-unders to see if there's any I liked.
Jacksonville +3, Denver -6. Those feel like our best bets for the week. Matt, any other comment on this?
No, I like both of those. Those were two that I liked.
And I think everything else is stay away.
Yeah, everything else. It's just it seems. Sorry, I was like going through all these. Everything is just. I have no good feeling, one way or another. It's just still so early in the year that it's hard to get a good grasp, even after 1 week in the books.
What about the Carolina San Francisco over/under 45.5?
I don't know what to make of San Francisco. Like, I could see Carolina winning that one 38-0. I could see that game being like 35-14 with some garbage touchdowns. Right? Like,
What about no, Dallas stinks. I was going to say the Dallas over-under of 45.5.
let's stick with this. These are the two we feel good with. Those are the ones that stood out. Those over-unders are kind of hard early in the year. You just don't know what you're, those numbers feel very, and maybe if I go back and look at some of what the over-unders finished at from week 1, I might.
And we got and nobody likes Philly plus 3.5.
I hate betting like specifically against the Bears.
Bears are done. They need a rebuild.
I'm not.
I can't bet against them.
It's too early in the year to like go that route already. So, all right. So we'll go with those two. Those will be our picks for this week. All right, and then to wrap it up this week, I was really excited as I wrote the description here, and it was like, where would you rather the Cubs win the NL Central? Because it is officially going to happen shortly here. It could happen as soon as Wednesday. It could happen as late as, I guess, the last day of the season, theoretically. But Jason Hamill happened just a couple minutes ago, and Brendan Moss. How that guy has 26 home runs is beyond me. But he just hit another 2.
Everybody on the Cardinals has an ass ton of home runs.
Yeah, so
It's only the 6th inning. My God, the game's taken forever.
Yeah, so it's 4-2 St. Louis. So if the Cubs win tonight, then they have a chance to win the division tomorrow. If the Cubs lose, then hopefully the first shot comes Thursday against the Brewers. Ben,
Yeah.
where would if you could pick, do you want to win the division at home or in St. Louis?
In St. Louis.
Matt, do you feel the same?
I don't know. I was a little torn either way. I mean, I'm fine with both, but I guess St. Louis, doing it in St. Louis would be pretty great. Just to stick it to them for 2 years in a row to do it. Obviously, obviously to win the division series against them last year was pretty awesome. But to win the division in the second week or so of September on their field, yeah, that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I would love for them to just do that. Let's quickly talk playoffs because that's where we're at. I messaged you guys the other day. I said I was a little bit.
No, what'd you say? You're breaking up a bit.
Sorry, I said I was a little. Like, was there any reason for me to be afraid of the Mets, Giants, or Cardinals in that playoff game, in a 5-game series? So Ben, let's get your thoughts on the record here, because.
Yeah, I'm not scared of the Cardinals or the Mets. I'm scared of the Giants in the playoffs either way. They always seem to figure it out. So that's the team that scares me there. But, yeah, I'm not scared of the Cardinals or the Mets.
Matt?
Yeah, the Cardinals don't scare me anymore, which seems like a very weird thing to say. So, but the Mets do, only because of just the way they had their way with them last year, and I think there's just sort of that fear that thing's going to happen again. Like I feel like the Cubs beating the Cardinals last year was getting over that hump, so now it's possible. Now, not that you wouldn't be concerned or worried, but I'd be less worried facing them than the Mets at this point.
I really wish the first round was a 7-game series. Like, it seems so stupid that you play this entire season, 162 games to determine your playoff teams, and then 2 of them have to play a 1-game playoff, and then you do a 5-game playoff before you do 7 games. And not that 7 games is necessarily not necessarily everything, but at least 7 games allows a series to play out, and allows the series to kind of work out some of the kinks of.
Uh-oh, you're breaking up on my end, Scott.
Yeah, you're getting a little choppy.
Well, maybe that's a sign from the internet gods that it's time for us to go. Let's have some closing thoughts. Ben, closing thought.
Just relax on the Bears. I think it's way too early to start saying that, this rebuild is a failure and we need to start over again. It's a little early. Give it time. I'm not saying this team's going to win 15 games, but just saying, if the game was only 2 quarters long, the Bears would be 1-0 right now. So it's not like they were out of the game completely.
True story. Matt, closing thought from you?
As long as this airplane that's flying very low doesn't affect me. I'm sort of on the same level as Ben right now. I think Bears panic is a little too high. Not to say that if they lose on Tuesday, I'd fully understand full on panic, or Tuesday on Monday, I'll fully understand. But at this point, I think you just gotta ride with it and see how it goes. Also, I'm gonna add in go Cubs.
Yeah, I'm gonna say go Cubs, and the Cubs are where my attention is at, and I hope that the Cubs ride takes me to a point where the Bears are relevant still. And if the Bears aren't relevant, I hope the Cubs ride was a really long one so that I can walk away from that ride and not really care that the Bears couldn't get it done. Because, if the Cubs have any games on Bears Sunday, that Bears game will be next to meaningless for me during October. So.
Oh, also, somebody get a message to the Bears to stop taking the fucking ball out of the end zone.
Great
Got it.
call.
I'll relay that.
By the way, I enjoyed everybody being super excited about this new kick returner that we signed today that's going to the practice squad.
He's the next Devin Hester.
A lot of excitement there, I guess. I don't know.
Matt, was that you that wrote that?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Oh, Maddie.
You did not write that he was the next Devin Hester, did you?
We're not talking about this on air.
All right. So for Ben Russo and Matt Urich, I'm Scott Sternal. Thank you so much for listening. We're available in the usual places: Google, iTunes, Stitcher. Have a great rest of your week. Go Cubs, go Bears.